The great hall of the Krillax Alliance was full of noise. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in circles of light, floating above their seats. Every race in the galaxy had sent someone here. The Dragon, tall and gray, stood near the front. The Salix, small and quick, whispered to each other. Even the Marrow, a race that rarely left their home world, had sent an elder to attend. Today they were talking about Earth. Large screens showed images from a recent battle. Human ships, small and old-looking, were retreating from a Dragon warfleet near a distant human colony called New Haven. The humans had lost the fight in less than 10 minutes. Their ships turned and ran, leaving smoke and broken metal behind them. The room burst into laughter. "Look at them," said General Thrax, a Dragon commander with a deep, booming voice. "They call themselves a spacefaring race. They cannot even hold one colony." More laughter followed. Someone in the back made a joke about human ships being made of tin cans. Another alien said humans were like insects, quick to run when threatened. Only one person did not laugh. She sat near the back of the hall, quiet and still. Her name was Vessa, a young scientist from the Salic race. She was not important enough to speak in this meeting. She was only allowed to watch and take notes. But something about the battle footage bothered her. She raised her hand, but no one noticed. She lowered it again. On the screen, General Thrax continued his speech. "Humanity is weak. Their weapons are basic. Their ships are slow. My scouts tell me they do not even have proper energy shields. We could take their whole species in one season if we wanted to." The Alliance leader, an old alien named Chief Uru, nodded slowly. "Then why do we wait, General?" "Because they are not worth the effort," Thrax said. "Why waste warships on a species that cannot even defend one small colony? Let them live in their little corner of space. Let them believe they matter." The room laughed again. Vessa did not. She looked closer at the screen. The human ships were running, yes, but something was strange about how they ran. They did not scatter in panic like a weak enemy would. They moved together in clean lines like a group following a plan. Weak, frightened ships did not move like that. She wanted to say something, but she stayed quiet. No one would listen to a young scientist with no rank. Far away on Earth, the mood was very different. In an underground base near the coast, hidden under solid rock, human soldiers and scientists worked without rest. This base had no name on any official map, only a small number of people in. The government knew it existed. It was called Site Zero. Inside Site Zero, Commander Alina Reyes stood in front of a large window. Below her, in a massive hangar, a ship was being built. It was unlike anything humans had ever made before. Long, sharp, and dark, it looked like a blade cutting through shadows. Engineers in white suits moved around it like ants building a hill. Reyes had spent 15 years of her life on this project. She had lost friends. She had lost sleep. She had lost the chance to have a normal life. But she believed more than anything that this ship would save humanity. Her assistant, a young officer named Marcus, walked up beside her. "Commander, the fleet at New Haven retreated as planned," he said. "The aliens think we ran because we were scared." Ray smiled, but there was no joy in it. Only quiet confidence. "Good," she said. "Let them think that. They are already laughing at us across Half the galaxy, Marcus said. Reports say some alien leaders are calling humans the joke of the stars. Let them laugh, Rhea said. The longer they laugh, the longer we have to prepare, Rhea. She looked back at the ship in the hangar. It had no name yet, only a project. Number 1. Soon it would need a real name. A name that history would remember. How many years until it is ready? Marcus asked. It already is, Rhea said quietly. Marcus turned to look at her surprised. Ready? But I thought, we are not testing weapons anymore. Rhea said, we are testing patience. The ship is finished, the crew is trained. Now we wait for the right moment. Marcus swallowed hard. He knew what the right moment meant. It meant war. Real war. Not small skirmishes at far colonies, but a war that could decide the future of the entire human race. What if they attack Earth directly? He asked. Rhea did not answer right away. She looked at the black ship, and for a moment her eyes reflected its dark shape. Then they will finally meet the real Earth, she said. Not the one they think they know. Back on the Alliance ship 3 days later, another meeting was called. This time the topic was not just New Haven. Reports had come in from other places, other border colonies where the humans had also lost battles quickly. General Thrax stood proudly at the front of the hall. As you all know, humanity continues to lose ground, he said. My scouts report the same pattern. Everywhere, humans retreat almost immediately when faced with real resistance. A wise strategy for survival maybe, said Chief Aru. Better to retreat than to lose everything. No, Thrax said, shaking his head. It is weakness, pure weakness. I say we take one of their smaller colonies completely. Show the galaxy what happens to those who waste our time. Many aliens in the room cheered in agreement. Vesa, sitting quietly at the back again, frowned. She had been studying the battle data for 3 days now, using every free hour she had. She noticed something odd. Every time humans retreated, their ships moved in exact formation, never breaking apart. No signs of confusion, no random movement. It was too clean, too controlled. She also noticed something else, something that made her skin feel cold. In every battle recording, right before the human ships disappeared from radar, there was a strange energy spike. It lasted less than 1 second. Most scanners would miss it completely. She had almost missed it herself. She quickly stood up this time before she could stop herself. Excuse me, she said, her voice shaking slightly. I would like to share something. The room went quiet. Many aliens turned to look at her, surprised that someone so young and unimportant would dare speak. General Thrax raised an eyebrow. And who are you? I am Vesa, a research scientist from the Solak Science Division, she said. I have been studying the battle recordings from New Haven and 2 other colonies. And what did you find? Chief Oru asked. Curious despite himself, Vesa took a breath. I found a pattern, she said. The human retreats are not random. They are too organized. Also, right before their ships vanish from radar, there is a strange energy spike. It happens every single time. Thrax laughed, loud and mocking. An energy spike. Perhaps your scanners need repair. Little scientist. Some of the others laughed too, but not everyone. Chief Aru raised a hand and the room fell silent again. "What do you believe this energy spike means?" he asked Vesa directly. Vesa hesitated. She knew her answer would sound strange, even impossible. But she said it anyway. "I believe it is a cloaking field," she said. "I believe the humans are hiding something bigger than what we have seen so far." The room erupted into laughter, louder than before. "A hidden fleet," Thrax said, wiping tears of laughter from his eyes. "Humans cannot even hide their own fear, let alone a fleet of ships. Their technology is decades behind ours." "Maybe," Vesa said, standing her ground, despite the mockery. "Or maybe we do not know as much about them as we think." Thrax stepped closer to her, his tall, gray figure towering over her small frame. "Little scientist, humanity has shown us weakness again and again. There is no secret fleet, there is no hidden trick, they are simple animals, playing at being a spacefaring race." Vesa wanted to argue more, but she saw it was useless. No one wanted to hear the truth if the truth was inconvenient. She sat back down, her heart pounding, her mind still full of questions. But she did not forget what she saw that night, alone in her small quarters. She pulled up the battle footage again. She slowed it down, frame by frame, second by second. There it was again, that flash of energy, gone in less than a blink. She saved the data secretly on a private drive. Whatever this was, she would keep watching. She had a feeling deep in her gut that the galaxy was about to learn a very hard lesson. On Earth inside Zero, Commander Reyes received an urgent message. A trusted informant, a rare alien sympathizer who secretly supported humanity, had sent a warning. They are planning a full invasion. Informant's message read: "General Thrax wants to make an example of Earth. He plans to gather a large fleet within the next 2 months. He believes it will be an easy victory." Reyes read the message twice, then called an emergency meeting with her top officers. In the underground command room, screens showed star maps, fleet numbers, and battle simulations. Marcus stood beside Reyes, along with several other senior officers, including Captain Dane, the man chosen to command the new ship, and Dr. Amara Chen, the lead engineer behind its stealth technology. "They are finally making their move," Reyes said, looking at the group. "This is what we have been waiting for." "Are we ready?" Captain Dane asked. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed the weight of the moment. "The ship is ready," Dr. Chen said. "We have tested the cloaking field over 200 times without a single failure. Even their best scanners could not detect it during simulations." "And the crew?" Reyes asked. "Trained and ready," Dane said. "Every one of them understands the risk. Every one of them chose to be here." Reyes nodded slowly. She looked around the room at the faces of people who had given everything for this moment. 15 years of secret work, hidden from the world, hidden from the galaxy, all leading to this single point. "In time, when they come," Reyes said, "they will expect an easy fight. They think Earth is weak. They think we are the joke of the galaxy." She paused, letting her words sink into the room. "Let them believe that," she continued. "Let them bring their whole fleet, feeling proud and safe, and when they finally see what we have built, it will be too late for them to turn back." Captain Dane nodded firmly. The ship has a name now, he said. We call her the Leviathan Prime. The name echoed through the room, heavy and full of meaning. A name meant to be remembered, a name meant to be feared. Reyes looked out through the reinforced window, down at the massive dark ship resting silently in the hangar below. Soon, she whispered, more to herself than anyone else, the whole galaxy will know that name. Back on the Alliance ship, General Thrax gave his final order to prepare the invasion fleet. Gather every available warship, he commanded. We will remind this pathetic species why they should have stayed hidden in their little corner of the universe. Cheers filled the hall. Alien commanders raised their hands. Agreement, eager to be part of what they believed would be an easy, glorious victory. Only Vesa remained silent, standing near the back, watching the celebration. With a heavy heart, she looked down at her private data drive, holding the secret only she seemed to notice. Somewhere out there in the vast darkness of space, something quiet and powerful was waiting. Something the galaxy had underestimated for far too long, and soon, very soon, the joke called Earth would no longer be funny at all. 2 weeks passed since the meeting where General Thrax announced his plan. Across the Alliance territory, word spread fast. Every race heard the news. Earth was going to be taught a lesson. Many aliens felt excited, some felt bored, thinking it was not even worth their attention. A few, like Vesa, felt afraid, though they could not explain why. On the human side, things moved quietly, carefully, like a spider building a web. In the dark, Commander Alina Reyes stood in the control room of Site Zero, watching a large map of the galaxy. Small red dots marked the last known positions of Alliance warships. Blue dots marked human colonies. She had studied this map every single day for the past 2 weeks, memorizing every detail. They are moving slowly, Marcus said, standing beside her. Almost too slowly. They are not in a hurry, Reyes replied. They believe they have already won. Why rush toward an easy victory? Marcus nodded, but his face still showed worry. Ma'am, if their fleet is as big as our informant says, this will not be a small fight. We are talking about hundreds of warships. I know, Reyes said calmly. That is exactly why we built the Leviathan Prime the way we did. She turned and looked at a smaller screen, showing the ship resting silently in its hangar. Even in stillness, it looked powerful, like a sleeping predator waiting for the right moment to wake up. Dr. Chen, Reyes called into her radio. Status report on the cloaking systems. A moment later, Dr. Amara Chen's voice came through. All systems are stable, Commander. We ran another full test yesterday. Not even our own scanners could detect the ship once cloaked. If our system works this well against our own technology, it should work perfectly against alien scanners too. Good, Reyes said. Keep testing. We cannot afford any mistakes. She switched off the radio and looked back at Marcus. Send a message to Captain Dane. Tell him to prepare for crew. We may only have a few more weeks before the fleet arrives. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, the Alliance fleet slowly gathered near a large staging point called Korath Station. Ship after ship arrived, each one larger and more advanced than the last. Draven battlecruisers, Solek scout ships, even a few ships from smaller races who wanted to be part of what they believed would be an easy, glorious moment in history. General Thrax walked through the halls of his flagship, the Devastator's Wrath, greeting commanders from different races. Everyone seemed excited, almost like children preparing for a game they were sure to win. "General," said a Draven officer, saluting as Thrax passed. "The fleet numbers over 300 warships. Now, should we begin the journey to Earth soon?" "Patience," Thrax said, though even his voice carried excitement. "We wait until we have every ship ready. When we arrive at Earth, I want no doubt in anyone's mind. I want their entire species to see, in one moment, that resistance is pointless." The officer nodded and walked away, clearly pleased with the answer. In a quiet corner of the same ship, Vessa sat alone in a small research room. She still could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. She had been secretly assigned to monitor scanner data from the fleet, watching for anything unusual. It was a small, unimportant job compared to the excitement happening around her. But small jobs sometimes revealed big secrets. She stared at her screen, watching data slowly update, nothing out of the ordinary yet. But she kept thinking about that mysterious energy spike she had noticed weeks earlier. If humans truly had hidden technology capable of true invisibility, then this entire invasion could turn into something far more dangerous than anyone expected. She thought about warning someone again, but she remembered how badly her last attempt had gone. No one wanted to hear warnings when they were this confident. She decided instead to keep watching quietly, gathering more proof before speaking. Again, back on Earth, preparations reached their final stage. Captain Dane stood in front of his crew inside the massive hangar. Around him, 100 hand-picked soldiers and pilots stood in perfect formation, all wearing black uniforms with a small silver emblem on their chest, a symbol shaped like a shadow wrapped around a star. "Many of you have trained for this moment for years," Dane said, his voice strong and steady. "Some of you have given up families, friends, entire lives outside these walls just to be here today." He paused, looking at each face in the crowd. "They call us weak," he continued. "They call humanity a joke. Let them believe that a little longer, because very soon they will learn the truth." A murmur of determination spread through the crew. When the Leviathan Prime decloaks, Dane said, "It will be the last surprise they ever expect from us. We will not fire the first shot in anger. We will fire it in silence, in shadow, exactly when they least expect it." The crew responded with quiet, powerful nods, no cheering, no shouting, just calm, focused determination. Dr. Chen walked up beside Dane, her tablet full of technical readings. "Captain, final systems check complete," she said. "Cloaking field, weapons array, engines. Everything is operating at maximum efficiency." "And the new weapon system?" Dane asked quietly. Chen hesitated for a moment before answering. "The pulse cannon is fully charged and ready. But Captain, I must remind you, we have never used it in real combat. Only simulations. Simulations were enough to convince command," Dane said. "We will trust the science." Chen nodded, though her eyes showed a small flicker of nervousness. The pulse cannon was humanity's greatest secret weapon, capable of disabling multiple enemy ships at once with a single blast without destroying them completely. It was designed not just to defeat the Alliance fleet, but to send a clear, unforgettable message. Days turned into weeks. The Alliance fleet finally began its journey toward Earth, moving slowly and confidently through space. General Thrax wanted every ally, every scout, every soldier to witness this moment. He wanted history to remember this as the day the galaxy silenced humanity for good. As the fleet moved closer to human space, small skirmishes broke out at border colonies. Human ships, following Rey's careful plan, retreated again and again, always maintaining their tight formation, always disappearing at the very last second with that same strange energy. Spike. Vesa watched every battle closely, taking secret notes. She began drawing a private theory, one she dared not share with anyone yet. She believed humanity was not simply retreating. She believed they were leading the Alliance fleet exactly where they wanted them to go. "They are hurting us," she whispered to herself one night, staring at star charts like a shepherd guiding sheep toward a trap. She tried to trace the pattern of human retreats, mapping out each location on a private star chart. The retreating path led in one clear direction, deeper and deeper into human territory, closer and closer to Earth itself. "They want us to come to them," she murmured, her voice barely a whisper. But why? She had no answer, only a growing sense of dread. On Earth, Commander Reyes received the final report from her scouts. "The Alliance fleet has crossed into our outer defense perimeter," Marcus reported, his voice tense. "Estimated arrival at Earth's orbit is 14 days. Reyes nodded slowly, feeling the weight of the moment settle over her shoulders. 14 days. 14 days until humanity's fate would be decided in the skies above their own home. "Contact Captain Dane," she said. "Tell him it is time. The Leviathan Prime moves out tonight." Within hours, deep beneath the ocean floor, massive hangar doors slowly opened. The dark blade-like ship rose silently from its resting place, engines glowing a faint cold blue. No sound, no flash, no warning to anyone watching from a distance. Inside the ship, Captain Dane sat in the command chair, watching the crew move calmly to their stations. Dr. Chen monitored the cloaking systems. From her console, her fingers steady. Despite the tension in the room, "Cloaking field engaged," she announced. Softly, the ship vanished from all visible and scanner detection, becoming nothing more than a shadow moving silently through the void of space. "Course set toward Rendezvous Point Delta," Dane ordered. "Let us give the Alliance fleet a proper welcome." The Leviathan Prime moved silently into deep space, invisible, waiting patiently, like a predator hidden in tall grass, watching its unsuspecting prey draw closer with every passing day. Back on the Alliance flagship, General Thrax stood proudly on the bridge, watching Earth's solar system slowly appear on the main screen. "Finally," he said, a satisfied smile on his face. "Soon the entire galaxy will know that no one, not even prideful little humans, can stand against us." Cheers echoed through the bridge. Officers from different races celebrated together, confident in their approaching victory. Vesa stood quietly near the back of the bridge, her heart pounding with worry. She glanced one more time at her private notes. at the strange pattern of human retreats, leading directly toward this very location. They want us here, she whispered under her breath. This is exactly where they want us to be. She looked out at the vast emptiness of space ahead, feeling a chill crawl down her spine. Somewhere out there, hidden in the shadow, something silent and dangerous was waiting. And soon, everyone aboard this proud, celebrating fleet would learn just how wrong they truly were. 10 days remained before the Alliance fleet reached Earth's orbit. In that time, General Thrax decided to send a smaller strike force ahead toward a human colony called Ashford Station, a mid-sized settlement located on the edge of human territory. He wanted one final show of dominance before the main invasion began. Send 20 warships, Thrax ordered. Let them face our strength before the main fleet arrives. It will weaken their spirit before the true battle begins. His officers quickly obeyed, sending a strike force of 20 Dravon cruisers toward Ashford Station, expecting another easy victory just like all the battles before. On Earth, Commander Reyes received the warning almost immediately from her scouts. She called Captain Dane through a secure channel. They are sending a strike force to Ashford Station, she said. 20 warships, arriving within 2 days. Dane, sitting inside the cloaked Leviathan Prime, listened carefully. Ashford Station has a small defense fleet, he said. Should we intervene directly? No, Reyes replied firmly. Let the colony defense forces handle it. Exactly as planned. We need the Alliance to remain confident. We cannot risk revealing the ship early. Dane nodded, even though it was hard to hear. Ashford Station was home to nearly 10,000 people, allowing an attack to happen, even knowing they must protect the larger plan, was not an easy decision. Understood, he said quietly. We continue as planned. At Ashford Station, life continued normally, unaware of the coming danger. Families walked through open parks under artificial sunlight. Children played near fountains built to remind colonists of Earth's oceans. Markets buzzed with quiet conversations and the smell of fresh food. Colonel Grace Winters, commander of Ashford's defense fleet, received the warning from Earth Command 2 days before the attack. 20 enemy warships incoming, her communications officer reported. Estimated arrival in 48 hours. Winters felt her stomach tighten, but she kept her voice steady. Prepare defense positions, she ordered. Follow Directive 7 exactly as trained. Her soldiers exchanged glances. Directive 7 was a strategy created specifically for this situation, a plan designed by Commander Reyes herself. It called for controlled retreat, drawing enemy forces into specific defensive zones, never revealing the true extent of human capability. It was a hard order to follow, knowing they must appear weaker than they truly were, but Winters trusted Reyes completely. Evacuate non-essential civilians to the shelter zones, Winters ordered. Everyone else prepare for defensive maneuvers only. No full engagement. 2 days later, the Alliance strike force arrived above Ashford Station, 20 gray warships forming a menacing line against the black backdrop of space. Aboard the lead cruiser, Alliance, Commander Wren watched the small human defense fleet gather to meet them. Barely 5 ships compared to his 20. Pathetic, Wren said, smiling coldly. They still try to fight even when Hopeless. Orders commander, his second in command. Asked. Attack, Ren said simply. Let us finish this quickly. The Alliance ship surged forward, weapons blazing bright energy beams. Through space, human ships responded. But just as Directive 7 instructed, they retreated in careful, controlled patterns, drawing the Alliance ships deeper into a specific defensive zone, near the colony's outer shield. Generators, Colonel Winters watched from her command ship, her hands gripping the armrests tightly. Hold formation, she ordered. Do not break pattern, no matter what happens. Explosions lit up the darkness as human ships took hits, shields flashing under the impact of enemy fire. One smaller human vessel took heavy damage, spiraling briefly before regaining control and continuing the retreat pattern. Keep pulling them towards Sector 12. Winters ordered, her voice tense but controlled. Just a little further. Commander Wren, seeing the human ships retreating in what looked like desperation, grew more confident with every passing second. They flee like frightened animals, he laughed. Push forward, do not let them escape. The Alliance ships chased eagerly, following the human fleet directly into Sector 12, unaware that this location had been carefully chosen for a very specific reason. As the Alliance ships entered Sector 12, hidden defense platforms built quietly over the past several months and disguised as harmless asteroid debris suddenly activated. Powerful energy nets erupted from the platforms, entangling 3 Alliance warships instantly, freezing their systems and disabling their weapons. What is happening? Vren shouted, his confidence shaken for the first time. Where did these platforms come from? Before he could react further, the remaining human ships turned, suddenly no longer retreating but firing concentrated bursts directly at the engines of the closest Alliance cruisers, disabling their mobility without fully destroying them. Fall back, Vren ordered, panic creeping into his voice. This was not supposed to happen. But it was too late. 4 more Alliance ships found themselves trapped, engines destroyed, weapons disabled, completely helpless. Within the human trap, Colonel Winters allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. Directive 7 complete, she said calmly. Continue standard retreat procedure. Let the rest of their fleet leave with damaged pride, but let them leave. The remaining Alliance ships, confused and frightened, retreated hastily back toward the main fleet, leaving 7 of their own ships trapped and disabled behind them. Vren's shaking voice reported back to General Thrax aboard the main Alliance fleet. General, we suffered unexpected losses. 7 ships disabled by hidden defense platforms. It was a trap. Thrax's confident smile faded slightly, his eyes narrowing. A trap? Humans do not create traps. They panic and run. General, I saw it myself, Vren said nervously. Their retreat was intentional, leading us directly into a prepared defense zone. Thrax paused, considering this new information carefully. It was troubling, yes, but not enough to change his overall confidence. A single clever defense does not prove strength, he said finally. Perhaps they had outside help. Technology bought or stolen from another race. It changes nothing. Our full fleet is still far superior. Still deep inside, a small seed of doubt had been planted, though Thrax refused to openly acknowledge it. Meanwhile, aboard the flagship, Vesa quietly reviewed detailed reports from the Ashford Station skirmish. She noticed immediately how precisely the human retreat had been executed, how perfectly timed the trap had been sprung. This was planned, she whispered to herself, her eyes wide with realization. Every retreat, every move, it has all been leading somewhere specific. She quickly cross-referenced the coordinates of previous human retreats with the location of Ashford Station's trap. A clear pattern emerged, an invisible path stretching directly from earlier battles toward Earth itself. They are leading the entire fleet toward Earth, she said quietly, fear creeping into her voice. Ashford Station was only a small taste of what awaits us there, she considered, speaking up again, warning someone in command. But she knew from experience how quickly her warnings had been dismissed before. Instead, she decided to secretly gather more evidence, hoping to find someone who might finally listen before it was too late. Back on Earth, Commander Reyes reviewed reports from Ashford Station with quiet satisfaction, though the loss of even a few soldiers weighed heavily on her heart. 7 Alliance ships disabled, minimal human casualties, Marcus reported. Colonel Winters followed directive 7 perfectly good, Reyes said softly. This will keep them confident, believing their remaining fleet is far superior, exactly as we intended. She turned to look again at the map, showing the Alliance fleet's steady approach toward Earth. Only 8 days remain now until the massive invasion force would arrive. Contact Captain Dane, she ordered. Tell him the trap worked perfectly. It's time to prepare the final phase. Marcus nodded, quickly relaying the message. Rhea stared silently at the approaching red dots on her screen, each one representing hundreds of alien lives, unaware that history's greatest surprise awaited them just days away. Soon, she whispered quietly to herself, echoing words she had said many times before. The galaxy will finally understand who we truly are. 8 days remained before the Alliance fleet would reach Earth. Across the galaxy, news of the coming invasion spread fast. Many alien races watched with curiosity, some with excitement, expecting an easy human defeat, others quiet and thoughtful like Vesa watched with growing unease. Aboard the flagship Devastator's Wrath, General Thrax gathered his commanders for a final planning session before the fleet's arrival at Earth. Our numbers are strong, Thrax announced, standing before a large holographic display of the fleet formation. 312 warships gathered from 12 different races. No force this size has ever assembled in living memory. The commanders nodded, murmuring in approval. Ships from the Dravon, Silic, Marrow, and several smaller races filled the display, a massive wall of firepower, ready to descend upon a single small planet. What of the incident at Ashford Station? One commander asked. Cautiously, Thrax's jaw tightened slightly. A minor trick, he said, nothing more. 7 ships lost to a hidden defense grid does not change the outcome of this war. When we reach Earth itself, they will have no more tricks left to hide. Vesa, standing quietly near the back of the room, as always, wanted to speak, wanted to share her growing fear about the pattern she had discovered. But she held her tongue, knowing Thrax would only dismiss her again. Instead, she decided to wait, watching, silently gathering more proof. On Earth, the final preparations reached their peak. Inside Side Zero, Commander Reyes walked through the command center, checking every report, every system, every detail. One final time. Status on planetary defense grid, she asked. Fully operational, Marcus reported. All orbital platforms activated. Ground-based defense cannons charged and ready. Status on civilian evacuation. 90% of non-essential personnel moved to underground shelters, Marcus continued. The rest will be completed within the next 24 hours, Reyes nodded, satisfied. But tense. Every decision made over the past 15 years had led to this single moment. There would be no second chances, no room for mistakes. She walked to a private viewing room, where a large window overlooked the hangar bay. The Leviathan Prime rested silently below, cloaked and ready, waiting for its moment to strike. Captain Dane joined her a moment later. His uniform crisp, his expression calm, despite the enormous pressure weighing on his shoulders. "Commander," he said, saluting. "At ease, Captain," Reyes replied. "How is the crew?" "Focused," Dane said. "Nervous but ready. Everyone understands what is at stake." Reyes turned to face him directly. "Captain, I need you to understand something clearly. When this battle begins, there will be no room for hesitation. The moment the Alliance fleet gathers in position, you strike immediately and decisively. Any delay could cost us everything." "Understood, Commander," Dane said. Firmly, "We will not fail." Reyes placed a hand briefly on his shoulder, a rare gesture of personal connection. "I know you won't," she said quietly. "None of you will." 5 days remained. The Alliance fleet moved steadily closer, crossing the outer edges of human territory. Scout ships reported no further resistance, no more hidden traps, only empty space and silence. They have given up defending their border colonies, Vren reported to General Thrax, still slightly shaken from his earlier defeat at Ashford Station. "Perhaps they are gathering everything to defend Earth itself." "Let them gather," Thrax said confidently. "It changes nothing. Whatever they hide behind Earth's defenses, our numbers will overwhelm them completely." Despite his confident words, Thrax found himself glancing more frequently at scanner reports, watching carefully for any sign of another hidden trap. The seed of doubt planted after Ashford Station continued to grow slowly, quietly, deep within his mind. Vesa noticed this subtle change in her general's behavior, the slight hesitation in his voice, the extra caution in his orders. She used this opportunity to approach him privately. Her latest findings clutched tightly in her hands. "General Thrax," she said, finding him alone briefly in a quiet corridor. "May I speak with you?" Thrax turned, mildly surprised to see the same young scientist who had spoken up weeks earlier. "The energy spike scientist," he said, almost amused. "What is it now?" "I have found a pattern, General," Vesa said quickly before he could dismiss. "Sir, every human retreat, every colony battle, they all lead in one direction, directly toward Earth. I believe the humans have been guiding our fleet deliberately, drawing us into a larger trap." Thrax studied her carefully, his earlier doubts resurfacing. "Explain further," he said finally. Vesa quickly showed him her star charts, the clear path formed by human retreats over the past several months. each battle carefully positioned to lead. The Alliance fleet closer and closer to Earth's exact location. Thrax stared silently at the data for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Finally he spoke, his voice quieter than before. "Even if this is true," he said, "what choice do we have now? Our fleet approaches Earth regardless. Turning back would show weakness to the entire galaxy. Then increase caution," General Vesa urged. "Prepare for something unexpected. Do not underestimate them." Again, Thrax nodded slowly, though his pride still resisted fully accepting her warning. "I will consider your words," he said. Finally, "but say nothing of this to the other commanders. I will not have panic spreading through the fleet before battle." Vesa nodded, relieved that at least someone had listened, even partially. She returned to her quarters, hopping quietly that her warning might make some difference when the final battle finally began. 3 days remained. Aboard the Leviathan Prime, Captain Dane gathered his crew one final time before the coming battle. The atmosphere inside the ship was calm, yet heavy with anticipation. "In 3 days," Dane said, standing before his crew, "the largest alien fleet ever assembled will arrive above our home world. They believe we are weak. They believe humanity is nothing more than a footnote in their history." He paused, looking around at each determined face. "They are wrong," he continued. "Today we prove exactly how wrong they truly are." Dr. Chen stepped forward, her tablet displaying final combat simulations. "Captain, all systems remain fully operational," she reported. "Cloaking field, pulse cannon, defensive shields, everything is ready." "Good," Dane said. "Prepare for final positioning. We move to intercept coordinates within 24 hours." The crew responded with quiet determination, each person moving quickly to their designated stations, preparing for what many believed would be humanity's defining moment. 2 days remained. On Earth, Commander Reyes addressed world leaders through a secure global broadcast, informing them of the coming battle for the very first time. Governments across the planet listened in stunned silence as Reyes explained the secret project developed over the past 15 years. "We have prepared for this moment since first contact," Reyes said calmly, addressing anxious leaders from every nation. "The Alliance fleet believes humanity is defenseless, an easy target for conquest. They are mistaken." Leaders exchanged nervous glances, many hearing about Site Zero and the Leviathan Prime for the very first time. "In 2 days," Reyes continued, "our forces will engage the Alliance fleet directly above our planet. We ask for calm, patience, and trust. We have prepared carefully, and we believe firmly in our chances of victory." Though fear remained evident among many leaders, a quiet sense of hope began to spread as well, knowing humanity was not as unprepared as the galaxy believed. 1 day remained. Aboard the Devastator's Wrath, General Thrax stood silently on the bridge, watching Earth slowly grow larger on the main view screen. Despite his earlier doubts, his confidence had returned, fully bolstered by the overwhelming size of his fleet. "Tomorrow we finish this," he announced to his assembled commanders. "Whatever tricks humanity attempts, our numbers will overwhelm them completely. Prepare your ships, victory is close." Cheers erupted through the bridge confidence restored fully among the commanders. Fessa stood quietly at the back once again, watching nervously as Earth grew closer on the screen. Despite Thrax's earlier promise to remain cautious, she feared his renewed confidence would blind him once more to the true danger waiting ahead. She glanced down at her private notes. One final time, the clear path leading directly to this moment, this exact location above Earth's orbit. Whatever waits for us there, she whispered softly to herself. I hope for all our sakes that General Thrax remembers my warning. Aboard the cloaked Leviathan Prime, hidden silently in deep space near Earth's orbit, Captain Dane received the final message from Commander Ray's Alliance fleet arrival confirmed within 24 hours. Ray's reported, her voice steady despite the tension clear beneath her words. This is it, Captain. Everything we have worked toward comes down to tomorrow. Dane looked around at his crew, each person calm, focused, ready for the moment that would define humanity's future among the stars. We are ready, Commander, Dane replied firmly. Tomorrow the galaxy learns the truth about Earth. Ray's allowed herself a small, quiet smile, the weight of 15 years finally reaching its conclusion. Good luck, Captain, she said softly. Show them who we really are. The countdown had reached its final hour. Tomorrow, two very different fleets, one confident and overwhelming, the other hidden and patient, would finally meet. Above Earth's orbit, the fate of humanity resting entirely on the outcome. The day had finally arrived. Above Earth's orbit, empty space stretched wide and silent. From a distance, nothing appeared unusual, only the quiet blue glow of the planet below, and the faint shimmer of stars scattered across the darkness. But hidden within that silence, unseen by any scanner, the Leviathan Prime waited patiently. Engines humming softly, crew standing ready at their stations. Inside the command deck, Captain Dane sat calmly in his chair, watching a small holographic display showing Earth's orbit. Dr. Chen monitored the cloaking systems closely, her fingers steady despite the tension building inside her chest. Alliance fleet detected, announced Ensign Rao, the young officer manning long-range scanners. Entering outer orbit now. Dane straightened slightly, his eyes narrowing at the display. Confirm numbers, he said. 312 warships, Rao reported, her voice tight. Matches earlier intelligence exactly. The bridge fell silent for a moment, the weight of the number settling over everyone present. 312 warships, an armada larger than anything humanity had ever faced, now arriving directly above their homeworld. Maintain full cloak, Dane ordered. Hold position until my command. Aboard the Devastator's Wrath, General Thrax watched proudly as his massive fleet spread out in a wide formation above Earth, encircling the planet like a predator closing in on wounded prey. Finally, Thrax said, a satisfied smile spreading across his face. The moment we have waited for. Orders, General. His second-in-command asked. Begin bombardment preparations. Thrax commanded, target their major cities first, let them see what true power looks like. Cheers rippled through the bridge. Confidence high among the assembled commanders. Below them, Earth spun quietly, unaware yet of the storm gathering above. Vessa stood near the back once again, her heart pounding painfully in her chest. She stared out at the massive fleet surrounding Earth, remembering her warning to Thrax days earlier. Despite his promise to remain cautious, she could see clearly now that his old confidence had fully returned. Blind once more to the danger she believed still lurked nearby. "Please," she whispered silently to herself, glancing nervously at the empty space around the fleet. "Please let me be wrong this time." But deep inside she knew she wasn't. On Earth, deep within Site Zero, Commander Reyes watched the same scene unfold on her own monitors, her jaw tight with tension. "They are in position," Marcus reported quietly. "Full fleet surrounding the planet." Reyes took a slow breath, steadying herself. 15 years of preparation had led to this single moment. "Send the signal," she said firmly. Marcus nodded, quickly relaying a short-coded message toward the cloaked Leviathan Prime, hidden silently among the stars. Aboard the Leviathan Prime, Captain Dane received the signal instantly. "Commander Reyes has given the order," Dr. Chen announced, her voice steady. Despite the tension, Dane rose slowly from his chair, standing tall before his crew. He looked around at each determined face, remembering every sacrifice, every of secret preparation that had led them to this exact moment. "Today," he said, his voice calm but powerful, "the galaxy learns the truth about humanity." He turned back toward the viewscreen, watching the massive Alliance fleet spread wide above Earth, utterly unaware of the danger hidden just beyond their scanners. "Dr. Chen," Dane said quietly, "decloak the ship." Chen's fingers moved swiftly across her console, her heart pounding with the significance of the moment. "Decloaking now," she announced. Aboard the Devastator's Wrath, sensors suddenly flared to life, alarms blaring loudly across the bridge. "General," an officer shouted, panic evident in his voice. "Massive energy signature detected directly within our formation." Thrax spun quickly toward the main viewscreen, his confident smile vanishing instantly. "What is it?" "Identify immediately." Before the officer could respond, space itself seemed to ripple and tear apart. Directly in the center of the Alliance fleet, a massive shape began to emerge from nothingness, dark and sharp like a blade, cutting through reality itself. The Leviathan Prime decloaked fully, revealing its true size for the first time, larger than any single Alliance warship, its dark hull gleaming ominously under the distant sunlight. Gasps and shouts of alarm spread rapidly through the Alliance fleet, commanders scrambling desperately to react to the sudden, impossible appearance of a ship none of them had ever detected before. "Impossible," Thrax shouted, his voice filled with shock and disbelief. "How did we not detect this?" Vesa stood frozen, staring wide-eyed at the massive ship now fully visible on the main screen. Her warning had been correct, more correct than she ever imagined possible. "They were never weak," she whispered quietly to herself, horrified and amazed. At the same time, they were waiting. Aboard the Leviathan Prime, Captain Dane watched calmly as chaos erupted throughout the Alliance fleet, ships scrambling desperately into defensive formations, clearly caught completely off guard. "Weapon status?" Dane asked calmly. "Pulse cannon fully charged," Chen reported, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Ready to fire on your command." Dane studied the chaotic Alliance formation carefully, choosing his moment precisely. The fleet, tightly packed together in overconfidence, presented the perfect target for humanity's most powerful weapon. "Fire the pulse cannon," Dane ordered. Firmly, a massive surge of energy gathered instantly at the front of the Leviathan, Prime glowing brighter and brighter, until it released in a single, powerful blast sweeping outward in a wide arc, directly through the heart of the Alliance formation. The effect was immediate and devastating. Dozens of Alliance ships caught directly within the blast radius suddenly dark, their systems completely disabled, engines dead, weapons silent, leaving them helpless and drifting in space. "Report," Thrax shouted urgently, watching in horror as nearly a third of his fleet instantly lost all power. Over 100 ships disabled, General. An officer reported, panic clear in his voice. "Engines, weapons, shields, everything offline." Thrax stared in disbelief at the screen, watching his once proud fleet thrown suddenly into complete chaos. "Impossible," he whispered, his confidence shattering completely. "This cannot be happening." Panic spread rapidly throughout the remaining Alliance ships, commanders shouting conflicting orders, ships colliding accidentally in their desperate attempts to escape the sudden danger. Vesa gripped the railing tightly, watching the chaos unfold with wide, horrified eyes. She had warned them again and again, yet nothing could have fully prepared anyone for the reality of what humanity had truly built. "General, orders," an officer shouted desperately, awaiting instruction amid the chaos. Thrax hesitated, his mind racing desperately to understand what had just happened, how humanity had hidden something so powerful, so completely undetected, right beneath their scanners. "All along, regroup remaining ships," he finally ordered, his voice shaky but regaining some composure. "Fall back to defensive positions." Immediately, ships scrambled desperately to comply, but confusion and fear made coordination nearly impossible. The once mighty Alliance fleet, confident and overwhelming just moments earlier, now found itself scattered, disorganized, and vulnerable. Aboard the Leviathan Prime, Captain Dane watched the chaos with quiet satisfaction, though his expression remained calm and focused. "Maintain position," he ordered. "Do not pursue disabled ships. Allow them time to fully realize what has happened here today." Dr. Chen glanced up from her console, a small, relieved smile crossing her face. "Captain, message from Commander Reyes," she said. "She wants to know if we require reinforcements." Dane shook his head slightly. "Not yet," he said. "Let them see clearly without confusion exactly what waits for them if they choose to continue this fight." He turned back toward the view screen, watching the scattered remains of what had once been the largest fleet ever assembled against Earth, now drifting helplessly, powerless, against a single hidden ship they had never even known existed. "Let this be their first lesson," Dane said quietly, his voice firm and resolute. "Humanity is not the joke they believed us to be." Smoke and debris drifted silently through space where the proud Alliance fleet had once stood in perfect formation. Now, over 100 ships floated dead and dark, their crews trapped inside powerless hulls, waiting helplessly for a rescue that might never come. Aboard the Devastator's Wrath, General Thrax stood frozen at the center of the bridge, staring at the wreckage on the main screen. His hands trembled slightly, though he tried to hide it from his officers. General and aide said cautiously, "We have 200 ships still operational. We could regroup and what?" Thrax snapped, turning sharply toward the young officer. "Attack that thing again. You saw what it did in a single shot." The bridge fell silent. No one had an answer. Vesa stood quietly near the back, watching Thrax carefully. She had never seen him this shaken before. The proud, mocking general who once laughed at humanity now looked like a man staring into an abyss he never believed existed. She stepped forward cautiously. "General," she said softly, "perhaps this is the moment to reconsider our approach." Thrax turned toward her slowly, his eyes filled with a mixture of anger and fear. "Reconsider," he repeated. "You warned me, and I ignored you. Now look at what has happened." "It is not too late," Vesa said carefully. "We still have ships. We still have time to choose differently." Before Thrax could respond, alarms blared once more across the bridge. "General, the enemy ship is moving," an officer shouted. "Officer aboard the Leviathan Prime." Captain Dane watched calmly as the Alliance fleet shifted nervously. Some ships attempting to regroup, others clearly preparing to flee. "They are trying to retreat," Dr. Chen reported, watching sensor readings carefully. "Block their escape routes," Dane ordered. "Position us between their fleet and the jump points. I want them to understand there is no running from this." The massive ship moved silently and precisely, positioning itself directly between the scattered Alliance fleet and their only paths of retreat. To the Alliance commanders watching in horror, it seemed as though the ship could predict their every move before they made it. "Captain," Ensign Rao said, "several ships are attempting individual retreat routes." "Let them try," Dane said calmly. "But make sure they understand escape is not guaranteed unless the entire fleet stands down." A tense silence spread across the Leviathan Prime's bridge as the crew watched dozens of enemy ships attempted desperate, scattered escape maneuvers, only to find their paths blocked at every turn by the strategic positioning of the massive human vessel. Panic began to spread rapidly through the remaining Alliance ships. Communication channels, once filled with confident chatter, now buzzed with confusion and fear. "This is Commander Vren requesting instructions." A voice crackled over the emergency channel. "We are trapped. What are your orders, General?" Thrax stood silently for a long moment, staring at the screen showing his fleet's helpless position. Finally he spoke, his voice quieter than before, but steady. "Cease all aggressive maneuvers," he ordered slowly. "Signal the human ship. Request a temporary ceasefire." Gasps spread through the bridge. Never in recorded history had a Drevan general requested a ceasefire from what they believed to be an inferior race. "General, are you certain?" his aide asked hesitantly. "I have never been more certain of anything," Thrax said firmly. "We came here believing humanity weak and foolish. We were wrong. Continuing this battle serves no purpose except further destruction." Vesa watched with quiet relief as Thrax finally accepted the reality she had tried to warn him about weeks earlier. Perhaps, she thought, wisdom could still triumph over pride even after everything that had happened. Aboard the Leviathan Prime, Dr. Chen's Console beeped softly. Captain, incoming transmission from the Alliance flagship, she reported, surprise evident in her voice. They are requesting a ceasefire. Dane exchanged a brief glance with his crew before nodding slowly. Open the channel, he said a moment. Later, General Thrax's voice came through, tired and humbled compared to his earlier confidence. This is General Thrax of the Alliance Fleet, he said. We request a temporary ceasefire to discuss terms. Dane considered his words carefully before responding. This is Captain Dane of the Leviathan Prime, representing Earth's defense forces, he said calmly. Ceasefire granted, on the condition that no further hostile action is taken against Earth or its colonies. There was a brief pause before Thrax responded. Agreed, he said quietly. We had no idea humanity possessed such capability. Dane's expression remained calm, though his voice carried quiet firmness. Humanity has always been capable, he said. You simply chose not to see it. Back on Earth, Commander Reyes watched the exchange from Site Zero, her shoulders finally relaxing slightly. After weeks of unbearable tension, they requested a ceasefire, Marcus said, disbelief clear in his voice. After everything, they are finally backing down. It seems so, Vesa said softly, though caution remained evident in her tone. But we must remain careful. Victory in battle does not guarantee lasting peace. She turned toward the main screen, her gaze fixed on the scattered remains of the Alliance fleet still floating helplessly above Earth. Contact Captain Dane, she said. Tell him to proceed carefully with negotiations. We want peace, not further conflict, but we will not accept anything less than complete respect for humanity's sovereignty. Marcus nodded, quickly relaying her instructions toward the Leviathan Prime. Aboard the Devastator's Wrath, General Thrax prepared himself for what would undoubtedly be the most humbling moment of his long military career. A direct meeting with the human commander he had once mocked openly. Before the entire galaxy, Vesa approached him quietly before the meeting began. General, she said carefully, may I accompany you? I believe understanding humanity fully might help us avoid mistakes like this in the future. Thrax studied her for a long moment before nodding slowly. Yes, he said finally. Perhaps it is time the Alliance listened more carefully to voices like yours. Together, they boarded a small shuttle, escorted carefully by human fighters, toward the massive dark hull of the Leviathan Prime, waiting silently ahead. Inside the ship, Captain Dane greeted General Thrax and Vesa personally as they stepped aboard, his expression calm but firm. General Thrax, Dane said, extending a hand in a gesture of cautious respect. Welcome aboard the Leviathan Prime. Thrax hesitated only briefly before accepting the gesture, his pride finally giving way to practical necessity. Captain Dane, he replied quietly, I owe your species an apology. We underestimated you completely. Dane nodded slightly, his expression softening just slightly. Many have made that mistake, he said. We hope moving forward the galaxy remember today's lesson clearly. Vesa stepped forward cautiously, addressing Dane directly. Captain, I would like to understand more about your species if possible, she said. I believe better understanding might prevent conflicts like this from happening again. Dane studied her. Carefully, his gaze thoughtful. You were the one who warned your general about our hidden fleet, he said. Your instincts were correct. Vesa nodded humbly. I hoped my warning would prevent this outcome, she admitted. I am relieved at least that further destruction was avoided. As are we, Dane replied, as negotiations began on board the Leviathan Prime. Word of humanity's stunning victory spread rapidly throughout the galaxy. Other alien races, once mocking and dismissive, now watched Earth with newfound caution and respect. Vesa, standing quietly beside General Thrax during the negotiations, realized clearly that humanity's story was only just beginning. No longer would they be seen as weak, primitive, or foolish. They had proven decisively and unforgettably that appearances could be deceiving, and true strength often hid quietly beneath the surface, waiting patiently for its moment to reveal itself. As the meeting continued, Thrax glanced briefly toward Vesa, a newfound respect evident in his tired eyes. Perhaps, he said quietly, it is time we learn to listen more carefully before pride blinds us again. Vesa nodded silently, understanding fully the significance of the moment. Today, humanity had changed forever. How the galaxy viewed them, not through arrogance or aggression, but through patience, preparation, and quiet, unwavering strength. News of the battle above Earth spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. Every race, every colony, every distant outpost heard the same story repeated again and again with growing disbelief. Humanity, the species once mocked as weak and primitive, had defeated the largest fleet ever assembled against a single world using a ship no one had ever detected. On 100 different worlds, alien leaders gathered in emergency councils demanding answers. How had humanity hidden such technology? How had every scanner, every scout, every intelligence report failed to notice something so powerful? No one had good answers. Only fear. Aboard the Devastators Wrath, General Thrax sat quietly in his private quarters, reviewing the battle reports one final time before returning home. The scale of his failure weighed heavily on him, but so did something else. A grudging respect he had never expected to feel toward humans. A soft knock came at his door. Vesa entered when he called her in. General, she said, the Alliance Council has requested your full report. They want to understand everything about what happened here. Thrax nodded slowly. Tell them the truth, he said. Tell them we underestimated a species we knew almost nothing about. Tell them pride cost us dearly. Vesa hesitated before speaking again. General, if I may ask, what will happen to the Alliance's plans regarding Earth now? Thrax looked up at her, his expression tired but thoughtful. I believe, he said slowly, the Alliance will need an entirely new approach toward humanity. Conquest is no longer an option. Perhaps cooperation might be wiser. Vesa allowed herself a small, hopeful smile. That would be a wise decision. General, back on Earth, celebrations erupted across the planet as news of the victory spread. Streets filled with people cheering, embracing, crying tears of relief and joy. For the first time since first contact with alien civilizations, humanity felt truly safe, truly respected among the stars. At Site Zero, Commander Reyes stood quietly, watching global broadcasts showing celebrations from every corner of the world. Marcus approached her, holding a small tablet showing incoming messages from various world leaders. "Commander," he said, "governments from every nation are requesting a meeting. They want to discuss next steps, both for our defense and possibly diplomatic relations with the Alliance." Reyes nodded slowly, feeling the weight of 15 years finally beginning to lift from her shoulders. "Set up the meetings," she said. "We fought for this moment, but true victory means ensuring lasting peace, not further conflict." She turned to look once more at the massive ship resting quietly in the hangar below. The Leviathan Prime, now famous across the galaxy, feared and respected in equal measure. "You did more than protect Earth today," she whispered softly to herself. "You changed how the galaxy sees us." Forever. Weeks passed. Diplomatic talks began cautiously between Earth and the Alliance, mediated carefully by neutral parties from smaller, less involved races. General Thrax, humbled by his experience, personally requested to lead negotiations from the Alliance side, hoping to correct the arrogance that had led to near disaster. Vesa, now promoted for her earlier insight and bravery, worked closely alongside Thrax, helping bridge understanding between two very different civilizations. During one negotiation session held aboard a neutral space station, Vesa found herself speaking privately with Captain Dane, who had been invited to help finalize terms of peace. "It is strange," Vesa admitted, "how quickly perceptions can change. Weeks ago, humanity was mocked openly across the galaxy. Now you are feared and respected everywhere." Dane nodded thoughtfully. "Fear is not what we hoped for," he admitted. "We wanted respect, understanding, not fear, perhaps," Vesa said gently. "Fear and respect often walk hand in hand, especially after conflict. But given time, understanding can grow deeper than fear alone." Dane considered her words carefully. "I hope you're right," he said. "Earth does not wish for isolation or conflict. We simply want to be seen clearly, understood fairly, not judged wrongly because of first impressions." Vesa smiled softly. "I believe given time the galaxy will learn exactly that." Months later, the peace agreement between Earth and the Alliance was finally signed, marking humanity's official recognition as a respected, independent power among the stars. Trade routes opened cautiously between human colonies and several allied races. Cultural exchanges began slowly, and diplomatic embassies were established. For the very first time, Earth's military expanded carefully, still guided by the lessons learned from years of secrecy and preparation. The story of the Leviathan Prime became legendary, spoken of quietly and respectfully throughout human history. A symbol of patience, wisdom, and quiet strength triumphing over arrogance and overconfidence. General Thrax, now retired from military command, dedicated his remaining years toward improving diplomatic relations between species, often citing his humbling experience above Earth as the turning point in his understanding of true strength. Vesa, now a respected diplomat herself, frequently visited Earth, working closely with human scientists and leaders to build lasting friendships between their two civilizations. Years later, on a quiet evening on a human colony near Earth's edge, a young alien child sat beside her grandmother, staring curiously at the stars above. "Grandmother," the child asked softly, "why do our people still speak so carefully about humans? Why do we still seem afraid of them? Even now, after so many years of peace?" The old alien woman smiled gently, remembering clearly the events of that historic battle now passed down through generations as a cautionary tale. "Because, little one," she said softly, "long ago our people made a terrible mistake. We laughed at humanity, believing them weak, foolish, insignificant. We underestimated them completely, and it nearly cost us everything." "What happened?" the child asked, curiously. "They showed us," the grandmother said, quietly, "that true strength often hides quietly, patiently, waiting for exactly the right moment to reveal itself. We learned painfully that appearances can deceive greatly, and pride can blind even the wisest among us." The child looked thoughtfully up at the distant stars, imagining silently the massive hidden ship that had once decloaked so suddenly and powerfully above Earth's orbit. "Will we ever make that mistake again?" the child asked softly. Her grandmother shook her head slowly, wisdom evident in her tired eyes. "No, little one," she said gently. "We learned our lesson well, never again. Will we laugh so easily at those we do not fully understand?" The child nodded quietly, understanding clearly now why humanity was remembered, not simply as a weak species once mocked across the galaxy, but as a powerful reminder of humility, patience, and quiet, unwavering strength, a lesson the entire galaxy would never forget.